Hello everybody and welcome back to Rookhtown, episode number 4 today, and we are jumping into the zoo area. Yeah, after we've done a little bit of the economy in the last episode and also a little bit of the inner city template, so to say. It's not more than just a little bit of a blueprint of what it will look like in the future. We are still in the more or less testing phase of everything, and I'm just about to place the zoo now, because this will be the central element of the inner city. As you can see, I downloaded some of the animal spawners from the workshop, which are actually pretty awesome, I have to say. I was a little struggling with how I did the zoo. I wasn't really playing that much with the Industries DLC until today, and this is why I struggled a little bit by placing stuff, and I didn't really know how it worked actually. So I really had some problems by fixing these things, but I found out in the end with building anarchy and stuff I could manage to do this. And yeah, in the end it turned out to be working just the way I wanted it to work, and I'm pretty happy with the beginning. Even though I have to say in the end of the episode I struggled quite a bit with some water issues. I'll come to that as soon as we hit the footage, and I'm going to talk about, because maybe you guys have some ideas how to do that. I couldn't really fix the issue yet, but I think it will still be kind of nice in the end. So now the question is, why do I do a zoo here, and why that early in this series? Well, as I said, I wanted to create a little bit of a steampunk-ish mid-20s, late 20s town inspired concept here, and zoos were really a big thing in the early 20th century and in the late 19th century. It was really one of the biggest things to go and to kind of experience, and so this is the reason why I thought this would be a very cool, so to say, main element of the inner city part. So everything around that city will be pretty dull. It will be pretty boring. Not really boring in terms of how it looks, but it will be pretty boring in terms of what's going on for the people living there. There will be a lot of factories, a lot of industry stuff that is going to pollute the whole area like shit, and there will be not that much of nice things to do, and this is why we will have this one place to go in the center of the city, which will be the Rookhtown Zoo. So yeah, this is a little bit more about the story of the zoo, and obviously, yes, I could have just used the in-game enclosures and stuff like that to just build a simple zoo. But I wanted to really dig deep into the game now, and I think the zoo will potentially make up the next 2-ish episodes after this one, so 3 episodes in total of the zoo. Maybe I'm even going to have more episodes a week than just one, because I am really in a good flow, and since you guys were asking for a slower time-lapse, I do have more footage for you guys, obviously, so maybe we can even do 2 episodes, but as I said quite often already, I'm not that guy that is willing to, you know, make episodes just for the sake of episodes. So I kind of want to make sure that they at least deliver something that I'm quite happy with. And I have to say, and I have to admit, that this episode really was a struggle. There was a lot of footage I just completely didn't reuse, to be completely honest with you. I reused a little bit at the beginning, but this is already done, and I am now just doing, I think it's even the 3rd iteration already of the zoo that I started with. So it's I already, you know, tested a lot of things before I went into the zoo area, and so this is turning out to be better than my first goes on it, but it's still not perfect, so there's still a lot of things to fix. But as you can see, I'm just doing the initial layout of what will be the zoo. So it will cross the road twice, which was a thing I wanted to do for a long time, because well, it's not maybe saying the right word, but some more road interaction is something I was missing in my first series a year ago. So I wanted to make some more interaction with the roads in general, having some more bridges and stuff to make this all a bit more intricate, a bit more interesting, and also more natural. And at least in Germany there are quite a few zoos, and many of them do pass the road quite a few times. I think the main reason for it being is that those zoos and stuff are mostly in the city, or actually the city at least has developed around zoos, because they've been placed way earlier than the city was expanding that much, but once it does, it kind of got the issue that zoos have pretty much a big landmass to fill, so they are mostly occupying a bigger space of land, and for traffic flow it's always a bit difficult to manage the traffic once there is a big space in between where you can't really put a road through. But I think effectively this is what they did. They started to put roads through it and then just you know, make sure that it's quicker for people to go from A to B instead of just going around the zoo. And this is why zoos tend to have these roads in between that kind of separate the zoo into two parts. And obviously some others have just been created from the beginning with the idea in mind that there is a road in between, so I'm not willing to say anything else, but yeah, this is also one of the main reasons for it. Yeah, I was looking into having some more rocks and stuff, but I figured that those rocks I downloaded are a tiny bit too big. I'm not saying that they are gigantic, but they are way too big. But however, I was trying to put down already quite a few animals down here on the roadside, just to make sure that I do know what kind of animals I have there. I didn't know which exactly I have downloaded, so this is also the reason why I was putting them down, and I don't really fully remember the English names for them all the time. And so I just started to put down some elements I wanted to use in the zoo area. I just plopped them down everywhere so I can just put them into position later on, way better than I just did at the beginning. It's kind of a technique I got used to with Planet Coaster, where I tend to do the same, just bring in all the assets I want to use and then just kind of use them as in a toolbox, as if you would play with Lego. Just search for all the items you just need and then just try to build it together. It kind of is my workflow. I don't know if this is making any sense, because Find It definitely allows us to build quicker, even though you don't need to put it all down. But for me, basically the reason is I don't really know all the names of the assets I want to use. This is why I always need to search, and yeah, to avoid searching all the time. As you can see, I even sped up 4 times. You can see that I'm spending quite a lot of time inside the menu to search for the items I will effectively use in a few seconds. So this is the reason why I put them down, which is obviously not really working with net structures, because I always have to put them down again to make sure that I can draw them out. But yeah, this is basically the way it all works, and I can't really do too much about it. And I feel more and more comfortable with this kind of technique to play with, and I think that I'm getting quicker in the future. Hopefully I do. But yeah, for the moment it looks a little bit like a mess, but it won't in the end. I can promise you. This episode, although will not feature the final result, obviously, but I can already tell you I also heard your feedback. So from the next, or maybe the 6th episode, you guys will get cinematics at the end of each episode. I am trying to up the quality a little bit of what you will see, and I feel like you deserve it, and I feel like this is something you have asked for, and this is why I am giving this to you, trying to make it all a bit more nice to see what has been created in the end of the episode. I kind of rely on myself here, that I also like this myself, and I don't really know why I forgot to do this at the very beginning. I can't, maybe it's laziness, I have no idea, but it would have been way nicer to just do it at the beginning. I'm fully aware of that, and this is yeah, me now seeing that I made a mistake here, and this is why I'm going to change that in the future, so it's a bit more quality for you in the end, and so we can see what the actual work that has been done in the episode looks like. Yeah, but as you can see, I'm starting to go a little bit more into detail here with the zoo, dragging over the animal spawners, and as you can see, these animals are within the enclosure then. However, I can already tell, and I don't know how I will treat that in the future, but these animals seem not to react to fences, so they just ran pretty much just through the fence, and they are just roaming around the entire zoo, which wasn't really the idea. And I hope that I can somehow fix this issue. I've actually no clue if there is a fix to this anyways, or if I have to use other animals from the workshop or whatever, but these animals unfortunately do not react to fences, which is why they always break out, so to say. They don't not really break out, but they just ignore fences, which is a bit of a weird thing, since people will use the park quite a bit, which is nice, but having those animals in between all the time is not what I really wanted. But it yeah, maybe we can fix this. No idea yet, but I hope that this will be fixable somehow in the end, and I hope that I'll manage to do this for the next couple of episodes already. But yeah, you can see how the zoo slowly starts to shape up. I'm going to use a few assets here and there to make the overall zoo look a bit more detailed, a bit more natural, but we definitely gonna do this in the end as well. But now we are getting into my little problematic area of this episode, which is a water tank, or at least I wanted to make a water enclosure for some dolphins. And I was seeing that the dolphins actually spawn in water, which is nice, but me and the game regarding water, I'm not the best friends. I should say this way. Like, I have no clue how exactly water works in the game. I don't really know how to explain this, because I think that I know how it works, but it always turns out that I have absolutely no clue how that works. So at the very beginning I was drawing out this little area down here where water can go in, hopefully later on. I was trying a little bit with sand painting, but it didn't really work out the way. And then I had the idea, okay, maybe I'll do this just with keys, or with these channels, I don't know, because they were pretty big, and I was about to say, okay, this could be a cool tank, and then just put water in. As you can see, I was trying some variations here and there, if I can draw a nice tank that looks nice in the end, and I can just you know, cover up a little bit more differently. And I finally went with this option over here, but as you can see, it's destroying a little bit more of what you will see. And this is somewhat really not satisfying at all. I was trying different things, trying to align that properly, that it kind of looks nice and looks decent, but it all didn't really work out the way I wanted it. So I tried at least to build that again with the smaller channel option, so that it just doesn't really destroy the pathing too much. As you can see, this is somewhat what I was pretty happy with, because I thought, okay, you can still cover up the inner part to make it look nicer, and then we would also have a nice enclosure for the dolphins. But you will see in a bit what happened, and yeah, I don't know, it's not actually what I wanted, and I don't even know if I left it in the I think I didn't even left it in the episode, because actually I broke everything. I need to rebuild everything, and yeah, it was not too good. However, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed the first bit of the zoo, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Until then, have a great time, and bye bye.